right into it. We've all heard the same old financial advice, you know? It sounds so simple, so logical, but have you ever just stopped and asked yourself why, for most of us, it never seems to actually work? I mean, you know the list. First up, budget more, right? Just track every penny, make a perfect spreadsheet, and magically stick to it. Sounds easy. And then, of course, there's the classic, save consistently. You know, pay yourself first, tuck away a piece of every single paycheck, and just watch it grow. And the big one, the one everyone preaches, invest early. Get that compound interest working for you. Start in your 20s and you're golden. Now, here's the thing. None of this is bad advice, which brings us to the million-dollar question. If all this advice is technically correct, why are so many people still spinning their wheels, just trying to get ahead? What's the missing piece of the puzzle here? Well, it turns out the answer has almost nothing to do with your willpower or your discipline. The problem? It's structural. It's about how we're getting this advice in the first place. And this, right here, is the absolute key. We're handed these little nuggets of wisdom as if they're separate, isolated tasks. Budget over here, save over there. But that completely ignores the reality that our financial lives aren't a list of tasks, they're a system. And when you give advice that ignores the system, you're pretty much setting people up to fail. So we have to completely reframe how we look at this. We've got to stop thinking about money like it's some simple to-do list and start seeing it for what it actually is, a really complex, deeply interconnected system. This slide just lays it out perfectly. On one hand, you've got checklist thinking. It's obsessed with your behavior. Don't buy the latte, don't spend that money. It's all about just following the rules in the short term. But systems thinking? That's totally different. It asks, what are the constraints in your life that are pushing you toward that latte in the first place? It looks for the feedback loops, how one decision impacts another down the line. And it's focused on creating good long-term outcomes, not just, checking off a box today. And it really all boils down to this quote. Money isn't a checklist, it's a living system. Your finances have these feedback loops. They have constraints like your income or just how much time you have in a day. And, this is the important part, they have leverage points. Those are the small changes you can make that create these huge outsized results. Trying to manage all of that with a simple to-do list? That's why the old advice just falls apart. And when you're stuck in a broken system without even realizing it, it's so easy to get pulled into this downward spiral. Let's actually walk through what that looks like. And please, get this into your head. This is not a personal failure. People aren't struggling because they're lazy or undisciplined. They're struggling because they are fighting a battle inside a system that's working against them, a system they often don't even have control over. So here's that negative feedback loop in action. It starts simple. Your income limits your options. That can force you into debt. But debt isn't just a number. It piles on this massive amount of stress. And what does chronic stress do? It literally degrades your ability to think clearly and make good decisions for the long term. So then what happens? You make a poor decision under all that pressure, which only reinforces the broken system you started with. It's a vicious cycle that just tightens its grip. Okay, so if the system is the problem, what's the solution? How do we fix it? Well, the key is to add a completely new layer to everything, a layer designed to help us make smarter decisions within the system. I absolutely love this analogy. It makes so much sense. Think about it. You can mess with the timing of traffic lights all day long. Maybe you make things a tiny bit better. But if the road itself is a tangled mess, you're still going to have a traffic jam. To really fix the problem, you have to redesign the road. It's the exact same thing with your finances. So how do we start redesigning that road? Well, this is where a tool like AI starts to get really, really interesting. But, and this is a big but, we need to be super clear about what AI is not in this context. It is not some magic bullet that's going to solve all your problems. It is not a replacement for your own thinking, and it absolutely does not remove your personal responsibility. What it is a powerful decision-making layer. Its main job is to reduce what's called cognitive friction. That's the mental exhaustion and stress that leads to bad choices. It can help you see the future consequences of a decision before you make it. So for example, it could show you how a seemingly small car loan today might ripple out and affect your ability to buy a house 3 years from now. It reveals the invisible feedback loops. So in other words, AI doesn't make the decisions for you. It improves the very system in which you make your own decisions. So let's bring this all home. The real path to getting better financial outcomes isn't about just trying harder with the same old advice. It's about taking a step back and fixing the system first. And at the end of the day, this is the fundamental reason so many of us feel like we're failing with money. It has nothing to do with how hard we're trying. It's because we've been given a behavioral checklist for what is and what has always been a complex systems problem. And that right there is the big takeaway. Fix the system. When you focus your energy on improving the system itself, the right behaviors, they just start to follow naturally. So I want to leave you with a question to really think about. Looking at your own financial life through this new lens, as a system, what's the single biggest point of friction? What's that one constraint that, if you could just fix it, would make everything else run smoother? Because finding that, that's the first step to redesigning your own road.